All right, welcome in. McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. It is Wednesday, July the 9th. Right here on Jox. Day one in the books, day two coming up. Some interesting things from Brett Yormark yesterday. We'll get to some of those. Scott Frost made some news. New UCF head football coach. What else kind of stuck out to you yesterday, G-Mac? What'd you learn? What maybe surprised some folks? What was cool about the first day of Big 12 Media Days?
Well, it was funny, buddy. Like, kind of the way the SEC handles their media days, right? Like, we take 30 minutes of the coach at the podium. Yesterday, starting at 10:30 until 3 o'clock, we didn't take not one piece of podium audio with the exception of about 10 to 15 minutes of Brett Yormark. So it was just I was just not expecting that. The usually get to the was ever set. But what league yesterday probably originally thought great about. Like, I think that question marks, I think they are. I look at a team like Cincinnati, they lost 4 games by 7 of their quarterback, and they found out yesterday is just even the teams I didn't feel so good about, I feel even better about them, and there's a handful of those coming up today in the second day of the media days.
And I want to get to you first with some of the commentary from Brett Yormark, and we'll hear some of that. But here's what stuck out to me. I think Brett Yormark is fantastic at what he does. I think he's done an amazing job at the Big 12, especially when you consider what they've been put up against. The landscape of college football and how it's shifted and changed just during his tenure, which has only been, 3 years. But there is, make no mistake that his background is in entertainment. And right. I feel like he delivers messages that way. He understands. I mean, to take how close scores were in your conference and things of that nature statistically and shift that into how you deliver your message about how deep your conference is, how much more the competitive balance is in your conference than other conferences. It was masterful listening to it yesterday. And then things like each player is going to have their own app to help market themselves. I just can't imagine how many college football players are sitting around going, let me go to my app today and see kind of where my marketing abilities are. The talks about from a business perspective that the league is going to have next to them, what the financial aspect of that, I don't know if it does anything really, Greg, but it's great to have them fiscally right next to one another. There are a couple other things that entertainment always seems to shine, but he makes it work with what he's doing there in the Big 12.
Yes, I think he's very ambitious. I think he's and shies away from him. Excellent marketer. I actually think he's done an excellent job. I think he's done an amazing job. Thinking like the traditional ways of landscape. Like then I have to be willing, because if you look at far of us passed them by. Top 3 brands. But I also think the cool factor it has to it. A certain level of landscape, cool might be on the upside. So, but I do think they're a little far-fetched from time to time.
Just a little bit. I mean, yesterday he says
appreciate him being open to it.
He says we're doubling down on women's basketball and Olympic sports. While I understand that you may want to not lose the emphasis on those, with where we're headed financially in college sports, to say you're doubling down on those, I find that highly doubtful. Because what's everybody in every athletic department across the country looking to do right now? Find extra revenue streams, right? I mean, we are scratching and crawling for LSU's about to put ads on their jerseys if the NCAA approves it. Like, they've already asked, they want to do it. They've got them lined up. Everybody is attempting to find just an extra. Give us an extra revenue stream. Everybody is attempting to find just an extra. Give us an extra revenue stream of $1,000 a month. We'll take it. Everybody needs this, and they're going to double down on Olympic sports. But it's really cool to say it right now, and it sounds fun. And I think that the mindset is probably the forget about it, and we're going to keep it towards the front of our mind, and we're going to keep it an emphasis point. Feels like you're doubling down on it when everybody else is just kind of saying, "Hey, good luck. We hope you survive." But we know what drives the ship here.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that, but I also think there's a possibility on the doubling down comment. Like, is there room? I think, is that an exaggeration? Is that hyperbolic in nature? Probably.
Yeah.
Like, doubling down, I don't know, but we're going to lean into the importance of women's sports. I think is 100% fair. Is there? Absolutely. Is it a profitable entity? No, it's not, but could it be? Possibly, right? I think challenges. I think you have to be open. Like, we have to lean. We're not going to beat. It'd be like me saying, all right, I got to beat you in a pass rush move. It's probably not going to happen. Like, could I get it every once in a while? Perhaps, yeah. I mean, with like a spin move or you slip or something, like, yeah, I could probably one out of 100 probably be, but if I did that time and time again, probably not going to be able to make you, Cole. You have to beat me in a 50-meter freestyle. Hey, Cole, a pole vault competition. Hey, Cole, you good about my chances. So if you can't beat the now, maybe you can a new stream that can be created. I don't know what the circumstance. Has to think differently, and just your run-of-the-mill way at all, but just your run-of-the-mill do things the traditional way, and we play it because it's like a so it's the grand poobah. Kind of feels like a star. It's so fresh and I think the same way as the Big Ten and the being different than being willing. Saying I don't care what time we kick. Rock and roll is really beneficial for the long-term prospects.
And you make a great point. And there may be areas there that people haven't really put emphasis points on, they haven't divulged energy into, that there could be extra revenue streams with. Be it, yes. We've seen a massive growth in volleyball in the last, 2-3 years. I mean, Nebraska's selling out their football stadium for a volleyball game. There's a professional women's volleyball league that has a media rights deal. Those things have just popped up recently. So we know softball has absolutely exploded in the last decade. So maybe college baseball, even just with an emphasis point there are more ways for more revenue streams. I mean, we always talk about these networks, Greg, this time of year, trying to get more things on TV. They want more live events. If the Big 12 can say, hey, man, we can give you live baseball for 1/100th of what you're paying for other stuff, and it's live sports. All you got to do is put it on FS1, ESPN The Ocho, CBS HQ, whatever it is. Like, hey, Netflix, you want a live baseball game, 7 times a week? We can offer you that. What time do you want it?
Yeah.
What do we need to do to help you with it? So it's a fair point that you make there. His delivery, though, you always seem to have a little bit of that entertainment background with it. And he mentioned, like, we're going to partner with the WWE still. Like, that's where I think I thought about it first. Like, there's a part of that WWE promoter, not in obviously the verbal delivery or the emphasis of the delivery. Like, he's not out there trying to get a pop from the crowd with the microphone. Just sort of the salesmanship that comes with it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like what you said, his background being different, I think really makes him work for what the Big 12 is. And I'll be honest with you, Greg, like you kind of mentioned the old school conference commissioners, so to speak, that are all business and all about kind of the things that we've always heard them talk about. It's kind of scary to think about where the Big 12 might be right now if they had that guy when all of this started happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'd be in real trouble. Like, I think Yormark doesn't care. And another thing, too, like, the fact that he's kind of thinking outside the box, he's never going to be – I don't think he's going to be Cheerios, right, in, like, the cereal flavors. Like, Cheerios is a traditional power. Like, that's going to be good. But I think he could be, the gluten-free version of Cheerios, where it's, like, really, really good, and maybe you can't really tell a difference, but it's just not the traditional brand. And I and just talking to the breaks that we had between segments. How's your fundraising? Like, how dropping it all is like, hey, we're competitive. Absolutely. What does that look like? It's like payroll easy. Like how hoops. About 13 this year. I mean, that's kind of like across the board. I mean, they got 20 million. Like, that's kind of incredible. There's more resources in this conference. Just some of these programs have never, because there's always been that big battle, a Texas kind of standing in their way, but be a path that might be a chance for Arizona State to become what it's always destined to become. Recognizes that, but he also knows that we're going to have to be a little bit nimble to be able to get to that point.
Absolutely. It's going to have to be done in a little bit of a different way, in a unique way, which I think is fine. I think can be done, because what is the way moving forward? We don't know what the way is. And one of the things that we do know is that every conference commissioner has their opinion on the college football playoff, where it's headed. The commissioner of the Big 12 yesterday pointing out 5+11, most likely where he wants things to be in the future.
We continue to believe the 5-11 model proposed by the Big 12 and the ACC is the right playoff format for college football. We want to earn it on the field. We do not need a professional model because we are not the NFL. We are college football, and we must act like it. There is nothing in sports like college football. And we must protect what makes it special and do what's right for the fans and the game.
Once again, I feel a little bit of salesmanship there, kind of taking a message, twisting it to where it sounds like you're doing what's best for college football and you're looking out for the greater good of the game, but this is what your league desperately needs also, and what would be most beneficial. Would you agree?
See, like, I was surprised he took that approach. Don't get me wrong, having the Big 10 and the SEC with 4 of the 16 or 8. But what is the Big 12 would get 3 teams in? Like, what is the likelihood, do you think? Like, what percentage chance?
Fairly low.
Exactly. So wouldn't you want to take our 1/8 piece of the pie, get our 2 teams in, maximize some type of play-in model within our own conference, and then we'll be in good shape? Like, I was a little surprised that he would take that route.
Would you think that? Would you agree that a play-in model for the Big 12, if they did it, would almost ensure elimination for that third team? Because, like you just said, you got to play. You're playing your way in for that number 2 team. So your champion gets number 1, if we're talking about 2 automatic bids from your league, and then you're having a, let's just say, Big 12 conference title game for whatever they want to call it, or it is, or 2-3 spot, then you're eliminating 3 no matter what. At least in this model, I think you have a chance to get 3 in. Now, we look at the teams and the landscape and say, I doubt it. But maybe he looks at where some of his teams were ranked towards the end of last year in the top 18 and says, now, listen, if we 1 or 2 things went our way here, and Colorado wins another game late in this model, Iowa State wins another year, they would have been in this model. Maybe that's the approach there, G-Mac.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I can kind of understand that. I personally, looking at their league and not seeing like a true separator, at least in the near term, maybe I'm looking at it too much through. I look at their league, figuring this out. They'll be figuring out what the format look like. Last in a couple games. Game ball championship. Now I think it's highly likely to be, and at not scheduled luxury. And then like if I non-conference games again, because big boys, when it comes strength of schedule argument, because it looks like that's what the Big Ten surprised he took that strong. I thought that would favor the S. I also think he has, and I'm sure he has great belief in the upside of what these teams could accomplish down the road. Yeah,
totally fair. I mean, I see your point there. Yormark also yesterday saying that the Big 12 will have multiple playoff bids moving forward.
I fully expect the Big 12 to earn multiple college football playoff bids this year, and to show once again that we can compete with anyone.
He feels like they're on the same page as everybody else. He feels like they can be similar to everybody else. And what's he supposed to say? I mean, people can be mad at that. People can point fingers at that. But the competitive aspect of his league, Greg, as far as how close the majority of the teams are to one another, I don't think anybody can really argue with that.
No, and you also can't deny the fact that their champion performed better than any other conference champion in that quarterfinal game after a bye. Like that, I mean, and they went toe-to-toe with Texas and had Texas on the ropes. And, by the way, got off to, like, the worst start humanly possible. Even most stacked roster in the SEC. Right? I mean, just and they gave them all. I mean, it's also worth noting that year to the about that, and that should kind of create yesterday. I think all of us came out of it like also at the same time like we can play with anybody. Like if I look down, our team is that maybe it can be something agree, but to assume that teams in the Big 12, I think they can play with just about anybody and maybe win 2 out of 10 against some of the best teams in the sport.
All right, coming up on the show today, Tyler Siskey, who has worked under Hugh Freeze, going to join us at 8:20, talk about the recruiting landscape, kind of where things are with Auburn right now, his experiences, the recruiting calendar. Fans be concerned. What should maybe they not be concerned about? We'll get his thoughts on all of that as we head towards SEC Media Days. And then Phil Steele, his publication is out. We'll get some thoughts on what he believes about certain teams, certain players across all of college football at 9:20 this morning and sort of preview a little bit more big picture. And obviously, the way Greg is there, we'll We'll get his thoughts from the rest of day one outside of what the commissioner had to say when we come back next right here on Jox.
$1,100 booth spaces, July 11th through 13th. Tickets online at worlddeerexpo.com.
$7:24 Wednesday, July 9th, right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys being with us. Watch live each and every day. Just search Jox 945 and you can tune into the show live or go back and watch it later in the day, as many of you do when you tweet us later in the evenings. We always appreciate that. Still hot later in the evenings here in Alabama. It has not changed. That heat and humidity can be absolutely brutal. That is why you need the comfort of a Trane. Keep your home and family comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. I want to continue with day one. Teams that were represented yesterday. You mentioned talking to a couple of coaches, seeing some players, hearing some different quotes. Your opinion change on any team? I know you're not going to go from thinking a team's going to win 5 to your antenna went up a little bit more on, or maybe now you have a little bit more concerns about based on what you heard, who you talked to?
I would say probably the biggest, so bullish on them. That poll yesterday than anyone not named Brock Osweiler. He's put together. He's a big dude. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, and I think, hey, Auburn week. I was like, what? And he said, they do well, but we'll coach on planet Earth. I think nationally, and man,
silent assassin, man. Like the dude is just like he is thoughtful, he is exact, and not extremely loud and boisterous. Doesn't feel like he needs to be, and it's what I appreciate about him. And I don't know about this, but I'll tell you, if it's my football team, and I hear my head coach say that he is more concerned about what they are not doing well or what they need to improve on this time of year, I love hearing that. I mean, I absolutely love it.
it's like that's genius.
I don't want my. You can be overly concerned about one singular opponent too far out. It's like we talk about the advantages of preparing to get ready for them. I also think you can wear yourself out on one team, and then that reset button, Greg, becomes a little bit more difficult. Like, oh wait, now we only have 5 days to go prepare for the.
Right.
I love the mindset there from Dave Aranda.
I did too, and I'm just visiting with his guys. Like he's got a couple guys yesterday that looked really good on the hoof. Like obviously, I mean, does a guy look good walking into a building? Yeah, I mean, most of the guys that were here yesterday like really reason. Like you're probably not bringing the media days if they don't look the part and there's some impressive facet of their physique. They're bigger guys or whatnot. Like Sawyer Robertson is a big dude. He's probably 6'4", 230. Like he's a big dude. Yeah, he's a load now. Like Brennan Sorsby, the quarterback, 37. 237. I'm like, dude, you just guys bound tackles. He goes, well, I'm 230. It's like, you don't look at team that about 4 or 5 weeks real problem, and dude, they're playing in the championship game playoff. So I think they're going to be an issue for sure.
I have to imagine that as we fast forward to today, that there is a specific thing that will be on the front of your mind, a specific thing about Big 12 Media Days that probably going to stick out a little bit further than everything else. I want to get your thoughts on it when we come back. First, I'll tell our listeners about Game Day Men's Health. Listen, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you're feeling on edge, if you lack energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to try to help you. And here's how they can do it. You go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now, schedule a free consultation. You get the free PSA test, the free testosterone test, and the free consultation. So you can ask them about how you feel, some of your ailments, how you think you can get better, what you're looking to get better, and then they're going to present the options that they have. You can save 10% on those options when you mention Mac and Cube, and that's how you heard about them. Any service they offer, you save 10% by mentioning Mac and Cube when you walk in the front door at Game Day Men's Health. You can do it all for free. Just go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now, sign up for the free consultation, walk in the door, get the test, and you got it all right there in front of you. What your health looks like, and then the different ways that they test, and you got it all right there in front of you. What your health looks like, and then the different ways that they can help you. Keep in mind, if you do gram or testosterone replacement, there's a minimal upfront cost in the programs. They offer at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Offer at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to get started. What is that one message that I feel like McElroy is going to have on repeat for day 2 of Big 12 Media Days? I'll discuss. Day 2 of Big 12 Media Days is underway. Greg is at the Star in Frisco, Texas, which once again, Yormark going out of his way to thank Jera for hosting them there, like he's doing it for free, like he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He just knows how to deliver the message. Like he knows how to take one thing and such a net positive for his league. I mean, he made it sound like this was like a giant charity event for the Big 12, and Jared just said, "Come on, they'll give you our facility. Come in here and hang out for a couple days." Like it's hilarious. Like he really is masterful at how he handles those situations.
Side note, we're here at the Star, which is connected to the Dallas Cowboys front office, right? So all their sales and marketing staff, they're all here. They're all working. I run into last night, who I've known since she was, a great to see her. She is now Jerry's daughter, is Jerry's granddaughter. You see women like walking around like crying. It's like cowboy cheerleader yesterday. Hospitality event last night. Building and they're like Cowboys Club. One just looked so strong. My God, this is the most. I did not realize, and maybe how intense Dallas Cowboy cheerleader tryouts are. Did you know about this?
My wife watches the show, so I had an idea. And it's like I'm not going to sit there and watch it with her. It's like this is just asking for it. I'm not parking myself in front of that for an hour at a time. I'm not doing it. But yeah, I've overheard a few things that are happening and some of the drama.
It was not a great.
Yeah.
Put it this way, it was a tough day. I think within the organization yesterday. Home, like I think it was wild as I walked over there last night. But back to what you were saying about Brett Yormark. Like, did you find it funny how he was thanking everybody for their question?
Well, I mean, they went out of their way to
personable.
give Brett McMurphy the first question, and the gentleman who introduces Brett McMurphy goes out of his way. Newly minted reporter at On3 Sports. It's like, goodness gracious, folks. It's like NASCAR. Like, I mean, it's like it is like they've the sponsors being mentioned multiple times in the opening statement, going out of his way to point out that someone's. When was the last time you heard somebody newly minted reporter at an entity? That's never happened before. It's intelligent, it's smart, I get it, but it's like we know it. I don't know about we. I know what you're doing. Like, good for you, but I can see right through a lot of this. And I'm not mad at it, by the way. I'm not mad at it. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying I know what it is. Like you're not getting me, but
You're not fooling me.
Good for you.
I gotcha. I first opening moment. So is this Murphy has now gone to On3? Taken it back myself, so I'm glad I wasn't the only.
But also he takes that moment to stop and wish his son a happy birthday. Like that could have been easily written in right away, gotten that out of the way. So it's strategical, it's maniacal in a certain way, but I get it. I understand it. I know why he's doing it, and it makes sense in a lot of ways. It's just I ain't falling for it, is all I'm going to say.
You ain't taking the bait.
I'm
is
not
what
the
you're
one.
telling me.
I'm not the one.
Not you.
So the message that I want to get to here in just a moment with you that I feel like there's no way to get around what it's going to be in the Big 12 today as far as day 2 of media days has to be quarterbacks. And I don't know how that's not going to be a massive portion of your conversation today. Noah Fafita has over 730 college football passing attempts. Colorado's bringing 2 quarterbacks, which I don't think I've ever seen at any media days ever. Jalen Daniels has been a Heisman candidate, realistically at times. Josh Hoover, not 4,000, but did go over 3,000 yards. I think has a chance. Now, there are a lot of things that still have to happen. He'll have a great offensive line in Utah this year. I don't know how you guys are even going to find time to spend on a lot of other positions today because the storylines around the quarterbacks that are just going to be there today, and you mentioned some from yesterday, which are obviously fantastic. That's got to be a good 80% of your conversation today.
Probably so, and it kind of was yesterday too. I think the league about being very because let's be real. I mean, that's what the fans want to talk about. Like, I mean, like you and I, all right, maybe our audience listen to college sports podcasts and 12 names on repeat and 10 Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. People are diving too quarterbacks are what sell. And I just think it's quarterbacks from one team. Like, that's a recipe for disaster or anything. Like, I mean, it's going to be competing for the position, and they're both here. Or one would assume, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not often you bring a backup quarterback to media days.
What is the mindset, in your opinion? We'll probably have a better idea after this all takes place. Like, what do you think that Prime is thinking here? Is this a reward for the new guy to say, hey, you better be ready? Like, this is what we really think of you, but the other guy's here because he's probably the starter. Is it satisfying an ego that way? Is it is it sending the message to both, this thing's not over? We don't have a number one. And obviously what we learn from him and hear from him today will have a lot to do with it. But like right now, what are you thinking the goal is, the mindset is?
I think it's 100% in the recruiting process. He probably told Julian Lewis, hey man, like, I'm going to promote the heck out of you. Like, I'm going to throw all my weight behind you to make sure that you get. Like, I want people talking to the door on Get Up for the last. I think that's said on the recruiting trail. Off. I think the guy. It'll be Julian Lewis at some point. It's not going to be long before he takes over, and I think whatever it takes to and if that requires taking you to media days as the backup quarterback, so be it.
Interesting. And for those that don't know, Colorado, Greg's never seen it. I've never seen it. I haven't seen anybody else reference where they've heard of it somewhere else, is taking quarterback Julian Lewis and quarterback Caden Salter to Big 12 Media Days, day 2 today. So, and how about this? Let's take a giant step back here. You want to talk about making noise for your program? We're talking about it. Other people are going to be talking. Just the fact that 2 quarterbacks are going to be there. That in and of itself.
So awkward.
We may have just read everything into it that has nothing to do with it. That could just be it. Hey, we take 2 QBs. People are going to be talking. People are going to be asking questions. People are going to want to know what's going on. And then if Julian does become the guy this year or down the road, they already know who he is. And by the way, they get to know we'll put both y'all on the map right now and help keep our program on the map, which we all thought was going to sort of take a back seat or maybe even take like a 5th row seat here all of a sudden, as opposed to having a front row seat the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That might just be it. Just that in and of itself.
Might be. I mean, it could be as simple as that. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that like black and white. Maybe it is. Maybe we're completely overthinking it. But I would imagine this has everything to do with promises made on the recruiting trail as far as increasing his brand.
Right.
Like, I think that's why a lot of guys are wanting to go to college, because they want to align and kind of, ride the coattails of Prime to. Like, Shador is big, not just in pop culture. And I think that's in large part due to and term prospects as a player. I don't really know. I think Prime was able to do it, but he was a uniquely gifted individual. I don't know if there's many.
Not even just athletically, by the way, but personality-wise, he is uniquely
100%.
gifted. Like there's no
Yes.
debate about that at all. Uniquely gifted to be able to help our friends here in Birmingham, Greg, Polar Bear Services. We know how hot it's going to be. You better know about what they can do for you.
Yeah, well, Polar Bear Services, they can do a lot of things for you. That's where I'd start, is that they can help you with your electrical. So that if you're having some storms and you're losing power regularly, that whole home generator is phenomenal. You can get one from Polar Bear Services. They also do plumbing, which has been outstanding. They've come out and they've fixed my leaking shower earlier this summer, so really appreciate that. And they also are the best when it comes to the HVAC systems. They've helped me out multiple times. It's been tremendous. I've never had any issues after they've come over, and I've always appreciated when they arrive at the job site. So always appreciate Polar Bear Services very much, and they can help you in so many different ways. So remember, if you have a problem with your heat or electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, we'll come back, talk a little bit more Big 12 Media Day and some other news revolving around college football / the SEC right after this on Jox. $7:49 Wednesday, July 9th, right here on Jox. Quarterback's obviously going to be a big story at Big 12 Media Days today. The competitive nature of the conference, Brett Yormark statements about how close games were, how many games were decided by one score late. When you look at that league this year, Greg, I think it's a very fair, it might just be a lot. At the competitive balance, top to bottom, closer than any other league. That doesn't make you the best league. That doesn't make you one of the best leagues. However, it could make you a lot of fun, and it can make you very interesting. Would you feel safe saying that top to bottom, that there's less separation between all of the teams in this league than any other league in college football?
Example of that is the fact that the preseason favorite last year finished 0-9 in the league, and the team that was picked to finish last won the league. I mean, I think the gap in the margins are incredibly slim. I also think that I think it's probably, like, for just a football standpoint, because of the competitive balance, I think it's fair to say it might be the most exciting league race. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
the actual league race will be phenomenal because ultimately you finish third, fourth in the SEC, like you're going to be in the. As far as the league race is concerned, I have no problem saying it's probably the most conference as it relates to competitive balance. I mean, every game comes down to the wire, it seems like, and every game is tight. I mean, really tight. The gap in talent between the teams is not that much. So if you're looking at it from like a pure entertainment value, I can get on board with that argument. I really can.
Yeah, it could make it a lot of fun. And as you stated, there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks in this league. They're going to make things more interesting, going to give teams better chances to win maybe as underdogs or pull upsets, things of that nature. So could be really intriguing. What else besides quarterbacks today with Arizona, Colorado, Houston, Kansas, Oklahoma State, TCU, Utah, West Virginia? I imagine some sort of a bounce back year for Gundy, how they do that, what they are. You had one of the school's all-time great players in Ollie Gordon coming back. You had your quarterback returning. You had your whole offensive line back. You get Arkansas early in just a crazy bananas football game. Looks like all things going to be going your way, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off. I think TCU could be way under the radar right now with what they have coming back. Utah, we think, has an outside chance to be a college. Lines, things you're looking at today.
Well, I think for me, it's probably, gosh, Utah. I know a lot of people would say, I just turnover. I just don't know how to be. So I just kind of looking at, like they were a team that really 2 years. And the challenges that they had 2 years is pretty remarkable. Could have got Whittingham coach team to be down for long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they go out, they get Dampier, and Dampier is really fun to watch. I mean, he's electric. Now, are there things he can clean up? Absolutely. But he's got some had a super dynamic quarterback like that. Now, I think Cam Rising at his best was excellent. But I'm talking super dynamic, like so everything goes haywire. I'll be curious to see how that works and to see kind of how that all lines up. But, man, you know they're going to play great defense. They bring back a great offensive line. I like their weapons. So I think Utah is probably the most interesting team today. What about you?
I don't know how it couldn't be. I will say Kansas, though. One, we both love Coach Leipold. Two, you got a quarterback that has won in high levels of college football and has the talent to elevate his football team. And I know there was a lot lost, specifically at running back, defensively, but there's almost no noise about this team. There's very little they could extend. They could be different. They could surprise people compared to maybe a couple of other years that we've seen in the last 5 to 8, Greg. Like I think Kansas, a team with just a couple of the pieces back, and you and I both know what Coach Leipold's capable of, may be a bit of a sleeper. And that's maybe that's kind of the story of a lot of the league, not the whole league, but a lot of the league. Like you and I have talked about TCU. Nobody else I've heard talking about TCU. Then I think in which we think they could finish where they could be. Arizona State's getting almost no love nationally. And they were in the playoff last year, and their quarterback's back. And maybe their second or third, however you wanted to play it off, best player is going to be back and wasn't available in the playoffs. So
right.
I don't think they're
probably fair. I think Kansas is a really good one, and so much of it has to do with Jalen Daniels' health. But they lost so just be real. How many people living and dying by cancer? But almost like to just put it in perspective, unexplainable. I think like that kind of shows you, man. I mean, we're all into great growth just against you. That Kansas is Auburn on steroids when it comes. But their quarterback's got to stay healthy. They depend too much on him for them to be kind of in a spot to feel great about him, because he's just never been able to make it through a whole season, unfortunately.
No doubt about it. So, before we get to break, I know there's one other thing that you need to tell our listeners about.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the dealer of the year. They are the very best when it comes to GMC dealers, and that's according to General Motors themselves. They have #1 and won national championship 5 years in a row, and they also are going to continue to give you incredible deals, even on 2026 models like a 2026 Buick Encore GX. $29,985 is the list price. You can take $5,000 off that list price. You get it for under $25,000. You won't find that deal anywhere else. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customer. That's because you have a better experience when you shop at Bill Smith's. Take the short drive up to Coleman, I-65, exit 310, Highway 31. Or you can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll step away from the Big 12. A couple of things around the Southeastern Conference that we need to discuss. And Tyler Siskey, who once was an assistant for Hugh Freeze, discusses Auburn's current recruiting struggles next. Eight a.m., hour number 2 underway. McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. Greg is Frisco, Texas, not Arlington, not Dallas. Frisco, Texas, at day 2 of Big 12 Media Days. How was just the day overall yesterday?
It was. I'm. You know, we say this a lot. Like, I'm not complaining. I have a dream job. You do too. Like, I love what we do. I love talking ball. Yesterday was one of the more physically draining days I think I've ever had in this profession. And dude, you and I have logged some crazy ones, especially with radio and stuff. Like, think about some of the days we've logged in our careers. It's wild. But this one yesterday was uniquely challenging. So obviously get here super early yesterday. I was a little concerned about like getting set up, being in the right spot, right? So I got here at like 6:30, not too bad, right? It wasn't crazy by any stretch. Got set up, ready to roll. 7 to 10, we're doing our show, right? After our show, I had to go over and do a little rehearsal because we had some telestrator segments with the quarterbacks, and we just wanted to make sure we had kind of run through all the plays, make sure it works, know their stop points, all that other stuff. So that took about 15, 20 minutes. And then I got makeup, which took 30 seconds. Then I got in the chair, and I'm sitting there assuming it's gonna be like SEC, you know, where we take the coach's podium and, all right, hey, you got 20 minutes here, you got 30 minutes here. Like, SEC is a long time because it's 4 days. Like, it's pretty exhausting too. Yesterday, I did not get off television until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At 3 o'clock, and that's because we did not go to the podium not one time. We went, every single coach came to the set, and we did the interviews because they mostly are Q&A, and I think the questions as opposed to caught off guard with at the podium. So we had to do an interview that we taped, and then at 4 o'clock tables. At 5:30 I had to do, you know, state thing that I'm involved with in Tuscaloosa, and that was from 6 to 7. I did not eat until 7:45 last night. The whole day.
Have a day.
So, it was wild, dude. I'm like starving. Like, I am about to be like anything to get me through this. But like, dude, you know, structured. We always go to the podium. This just caught me so off guard. But today I'm Did you get to watch any of it yesterday? It was wild how it was set up. It was awesome to be able to visit with all the coaches, but we were just never had any downtime, whereas in the SEC, I just felt like I have tons.
Yeah, I clicked in a couple of times and got to hear a couple of the back and forths in a little bit. And I was the 2 times I checked in, there were coaches with you guys, and I just kind of thought, man, that's you see the coaches some other places sitting down with people, like you see them sitting down with Josh Pate, you see them sitting down with somebody in a back room somewhere. Or on Radio Row, but not all of them come to the table. I don't assume and spend that much time. So it was cool to see. It's good. I liked it.
It was great. It was great access. It was just nonstop for 5 straight hours, and man, they knock them out. I mean, 10 minutes at a time, off and running. Like, player up, all right, go. Next player up, go. Coach up, go. It was pretty awesome, and it was great. And I think a lot of the teams really presented well yesterday. I just needed about 3 hours into the show, and it's like, you can't, there's no break. You're going to have to just hold it. I was like, goodness gracious alive. I was unprepared for this. I felt like Mel Kiper on the 3rd day of the draft. He never leaves the set. You know what I mean?
I wanted to ask you something that's kind of circulating around college football, because you spoke to some coaches, some players, some administrators yesterday inside of one specific conference. Late last week, our friend Pete Nakos at the On3 Network tweeted out, there's more fake cash being thrown around right now than there was 4 years ago, referencing recruiting in college football. Well, he sort of doubles down on that last night, and he quotes that tweet with another tweet, Greg, that says, story coming tomorrow on NIL collectives waiting on deals to be processed via NIL clearinghouse while recruiting spending soars. Said he asked the source if it's harder to win a recruitment than it was 2 years in percent. How much accuracy are you hearing in this? Was this I don't want to say maybe a public storyline with certain coaches or players that you want to share with who it was, but is this a large part of the conversation with just sort of how recruiting is operating right now? And then going back to what we heard John Cohen say, August 1st, that's when things are going to supposedly change. How much noise did you guys hear about situations like this that Pete Nakos is discussing yesterday?
Well, what wasn't on the air, we probably had maybe a minute per coach because they are getting mic'd up. They're sitting down, brief introductions. How's it going? Any vacations? I mean, the usual banter. So I did get to visit with two coaches in particular about, did get to visit with two athletic, kind of talking about that, I guess, in a roundabout way. A lot of them are just like, we wish we were Texas Tech. You know what I mean? And I don't really know what that means. I really have no clue.
It means they wish they had Cody Campbell.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like a lot of them are kind of being forced. And this is kind of like grasping at straws, but a lot of teams are kind of forced to inflate numbers and to assume they're going to have the cash flow to do what they have to do, because there are teams that have legitimate cash and they can go and get whoever they want. So in an effort to at least maintain some level of competitiveness, they might have to engage prematurely. So I think it's just an arms race. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's just a complete arms race, and I do think that recruiting is very difficult. I mean, I don't think he would have a problem in me telling you this, but I talked to Matt Campbell. He's one of the first guys we talked to yesterday. I had a little bit more time with him, and kind of asked him, "Hey, man, like, what's going on with the recruiting process? Like, you have a very tried and true culture. Like, you're a big culture guy." He goes, "We're not playing that game. Like, if you come to Iowa State, you know why you're coming to Iowa State." And like, he was dead. He does not blow smoke. Like, he is 100% true in his beliefs. And ask Chris Kleiman kind of the same thing, because I know that they're both just so heavy on culture. Dude, they are not playing the game. You're coming here because yourself as a player by coming to our place. Like, those don't care. If we get all 2 stars, fine. Great, we'll do the. So I really don't think. I think some schools are feeling. I think some schools are still in their beliefs as it relates to getting the right guy, going high school guys, and making sure that they can kind of backfill with guys that fit culturally.
Well, it's the thing with Matt Campbell is, Greg, he's been that guy. It didn't take getting
100%.
to NIL to this. I mean, he
10 years
legitimately has been recruiting the exact same way the entire time he's been there. And visiting with him last year before the bowl game and on the sideline pregame and some meetings leading up to it.
He talked about that, by the way. He said, "How's my boy Cole?" I was like, "He's great. He's wearing a Pop-Tart suit right now."
Maybe.
And he chuckled at that.
Well,
but he asked about you.
We got a new sponsorship. So
yeah, he asked about you. So I thought that was cool.
No, he's the man.
I don't know how he knew that we did the show together. Probably a loyal listener in Ames.
Hope so.
I mean, he flat out said yesterday on the set, he goes, "There's nothing to do in Ames. You're coming here to become a dang good football player." He said that on the air. I was like, well, I mean, Des Moines pretty cool. That's 45 minutes away. It's a pretty good spot.
What did you make of him yesterday saying that the majority of his players took pay cuts to stay there at Iowa State, more to go somewhere else?
I think they turned down more to go elsewhere.
Because you almost have to have the conversation of, with revenue sharing coming, realistically, did some of your guys kind of do it? We'll say, hey, I can go down to this if it helps you go get this wide receiver, or I'll go down a little bit if it helps. Fair conversations now.
100%. And I think one thing that he said and one thing that Kenny Dillingham said on the set yesterday is, like, the cool thing about our places, and they both kind of, the cool thing about our places is what they have never won a conference championship. Really buying into that fact. No, that matters. But they never won the conference title game. And I'm talking to Rocco Beck. Might be like the coolest kid ever. Like, about money. Like, he comes from like, he wants to win. And coaches have identified players takes. I mean, they I think I don't know expectation level. Get 5 stars. Like there's an expectation. Being a bad teammate, like he might be all those. I don't think people in the team, even if he's because that way, if he's on my team, he's you know what I mean. So I think in the SEC, they really, really are a possible player. Few places, and as a result, I think that's why.
So, I mean, listen, we love Matt. That's one thing about this conference that I feel like continues to resonate as well. I mean, you brought up a couple of them today. We collectively have brought up a couple of them today. Just some of the coolest coaches in college football for how they handle themselves, for how they handle the media, what it's like just sitting down and talking to them. I mean, we love Klieman. We love Lance. Obviously, we love Matt Campbell. We talk about him a lot. I'm a massive fan of a lot of the coaches in this league. I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time with Kenny Dillingham, but I don't know many people that don't like him. I mean, I'll say that. You know, there's not a lot of guys walking around saying, can't stand that guy, I hate being around that guy. We know what Whittingham's been. He'll be in the College Football Hall of Fame. So it's we've had Neil Brown on the show multiple
Dillingham's
times.
coming on the show this week, by the way. He's just flying to Coeur d'Alene for an ASU-sponsored event. He's going to be on the show later this week or next week. So you'll get to know him better if you don't know him yet. You're going to love Kenny Dillingham.
You said that like we should all know what Coeur d'Alene is. Well, I don't know what that is.
It's Idaho. I don't know. That's where Arizonans go. I have no idea.
That sounded like it was like somewhere in like a different wine country that only the exclusive Arizona State fans know about.
It's a lake in Idaho. No, but Osweiler has a place there too. So I'm like, is this like Sun Devil North? He goes, yeah, kind of. I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. And then again, who can blame him to leave 115
I was going to say, it's
heat?
probably one different thing about folks who live in Arizona year-round. They vacation in the cold. Like,
yeah.
Just get me under 90 if you can, please. That'd be fantastic. So.
100%. I can't wait to get the 100-degree days. Like I'll this 120s for the birds. But yeah, he's going to be on the show later this week. But you're right. I think there's a lot of really cool personalities in this league.
You talked about Dave Aranda early. Kalani Sitake's awesome. Like it's like almost
awesome.
Every coach in this league is just.
Well, I think in this league, like, I don't think there's another league that has teams that better reflect their head coach's personalities. Like every single one of these teams, like, all right, I tell you, Kyle Whittingham, what do you think?
Just rugged.
Tough,
don't care.
rugged,
like we will fight you everywhere we need to. Like just.
And is that
if I need to ride in on a motorcycle, by God, I'll ride in on a motorcycle. Like
on a nutshell?
Yeah.
Like that's Utah.
100%.
All right.
Like even the O-line, I'll tell you, Greg. Like going a step further with that, it's a kind of a cool observation. Since we've had the last few years about Utah is like they kick the expletive out of almost everybody, but like the fundamentals that come with it are not super sound. Like it is not done the way it's coached to do a lot of times, but they seemingly get the job done. Like it doesn't look great, but they're not getting their rear ends kicked in very often either.
It's a brawl, 100%. It's going to be a brawl. I think you could say the same thing about Chris Klieman at Kansas State. I think you could say the same. Like those. They don't have as much turnover in the 21st year. Matt Campbell's been here 10 years. Maybe it's because they've just been. I mean, like former. Like that's all he cares about. Face, and you're gonna league and like. Colorado's flat. You know, I think Arizona State, there's like a certain level core, like they're kind of a punch you in the face outfit. And Dillingham is that way. Like he's fun, but he also is a psycho competitor on the field. Like I think that every single program kind of really reflects the personality of their head coach. Whereas in the SEC, because of the constant turnover, and if you don't win 8, you're fired. We don't have that as much. But in the Big 12, I mean, you watch these programs because you really know who the head coach is and you really know what the values of the organization are as well.
Absolutely. So a little bit more on the Big 12 and Big 12 Media Days. Kind of get an idea of what it's going to be, what it's going to look like. But there are other things happening around college football. And we know one of the narratives of college football recently has been Auburn and recruiting. Well, next we talk to somebody that has recruited for and with Hugh Freeze. How concerned is he? And maybe get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what this time of year looks like, what the calendar looks like now for college football. Tyler Siskey joins us next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Continuing hour number 2, Wednesday, July 9th on Jox 94.5, 820 right here on WJOX. We're going to go to the Higginbotham hotline now. Welcome in Tyler Siskey, whose podcast you can now hear anywhere, watch it on, and has coached inside the SEC at a couple of different places. Response to what people are saying about where Auburn's recruiting class is ranked, maybe some of the other things Hugh Freeze has been doing. Like, you've worked with him, you know it. Either put Auburn fans' minds at ease or maybe make some of the anxiety worse. Tyler, what are you saying?
Lie. It's a complete started. World different. Maybe it in there. We're in a whole comes to recruit. Whereas contract offer on the on different interpretations look, it's you know, to answer your question, I mean, not right? Things, between now and December.
Uh, I do I do understand why, in the court of public opinion, it would be remarkably beneficial to have some momentum going into the season. Does it help you win games? Does your recruiting class for 26 help you win games? Absolutely not. But I do think in the court of public opinion, it can be helpful as far as the relationship that you have with your fan base. So is it just because the timing is slow, or do you think there's real reason to maybe prioritize summer recruiting and do what you have to do to make it look good right now, even if you don't close in December when we're worried about bigger, better things?
Yeah, look, I don't think there's any just the common, like I always take a common sense approach, right? I mean, did Hugh Freeze wake up, in 2025 and decide, hey, you know what, I'm not going to recruit this year? The guy's literally recruited every single place he's ever been in his entire life, right? So, and he's already been at Auburn and had a proven track record of recruiting at Auburn for 3 years now, I don't know how many classes now, 2 or 3 classes. He's had really good classes. So they didn't wake up. So people go and they look, oh, why is it, why now? Why now? And the public of court opinion, in my opinion, and some media people, in my opinion, don't look at the obvious thing. It's the house settlement. Everybody's working off different rules. That's the thing that changes. Did Hugh Freeze decide to take up golf in 2025? No, that's what's made me laugh. Guys, Hugh Freeze's been playing golf for a long time, a lot of golf for a long time. Hasn't affected recruiting ever before, so why this year? What's changed? It's not that golf hasn't changed. The guy's been playing golf as long as I've known him. Okay, we also had, when I was at Ole Miss, we had the number 2 class in the country. This guy was coming to my office in the middle of spring recruiting at 8 o'clock in the morning wanting to go play golf. Okay, so golf doesn't have anything to do with recruiting. The thing that has to do with recruiting is the house settlement. They are right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't know what they're being told by their lawyers or anything like that, but right, wrong, or indifferent, they are going by different rules and interpretations on the house settlement and when you can offer contracts, what can be on those contracts than everybody else. That's what's changed, but nobody wants to report that.
Tyler Siskey joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, former SEC assistant at multiple stops, and wanted to discuss sort of the recruiting calendar right now as well, Tyler. I know it has changed a little bit maybe from when you were in it, but this time of year, just take our listeners behind the curtain of how is recruiting operating right now for a lot of these bigger programs as far as the assistants, the head coach, the contact with recruits, like what does the schedule look like and how is it different for different members of a lot of these college football team staff?
Yeah, the biggest change right now, I guess it kind of went back to January, but the biggest change is from a recruiting standpoint is basically all of your visits you're doing in the summer. They've taken away the after, the traditional, Greg and Cole, both what you guys did for sure, but the after season, weekend visit, that doesn't really exist anymore because December is now dead with signing day being for high school standpoint. December's dead. You can do the visits during the season on game day weekends, but that's terrible. I'll just go ahead and let you know. It's one of from a recruiting staff and coaching standpoint. I mean, you do it if you have to, but it's very difficult logistics wise. But so most of the visits are taking place during the summer, and that's what, to me, what's messed up about the calendar is like, I mean, again, we can't get out of our own way here. And I say we as college football, we can't get out of our own way here. August 1st is the official first day that you can give real contracts. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to bring everybody in on official visits in June, and we can tell you, we can make up stuff that we're going to give you, and then you'll see the truth in August. It's just, why can't you, when they come on their visits, because it's all about business now. It's if all things are equal, yes, relationships matter. If all things are equal, relationships and traditional recruiting matter. If all things aren't equal, they don't. So what you're seeing a lot in recruiting, and it's not just, this is not an Auburn problem, by the way. This is all over the country. What you're seeing is schools are adding these to their numbers. They're adding these large third-party NIL deals in that money. Like, hey, we're going to try to push this through for you, okay, through NIL Go. Well, it's not going to go through. So, you know, hey, basically, we're going to guarantee everything we can guarantee you through NIL Go. Okay, well, it depends on your market value. Well, if you're a high school left tackle, okay, good luck to you. So there's a lot of unknowns and things, and it makes no sense right now for me. The biggest issue is it makes no sense that you can't make official money offers when we're in this world when they're on their official visit. That makes no sense.
That doesn't really make a lot of sense at all. Explain to me how. So, for example, the Texas Tech tackle that just got paid 5.1 over 3 years or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Explain to me how that conversation goes, because if they're only allowed to spend 15, 16, 17 million on their football roster, how do they end up at 10% of their roster on a tackle that might not play? How does that make sense? Walk me through it.
Hey, Greg, it makes me laugh because you understand how salary caps work because you've been a quarterback before in the National Football League. We actually had this conversation on the show the other day. I looked at it, I was like, the math, you know what I mean? You're not going to spend 12% of your salary cap on a left tackle. So the math wasn't mathing, right? So that's when I started raising the eyebrow, when do a little bit more digging on it, and I did. And Neil had done some digging before I even got to the show, and then I talked to him after and called somebody else. But basically, the rev share number on that deal is about 30% of that overall deal. And so what they're doing is you're making promises that, hey, we're going to try to push the rest of it. You have a booster through the collective, basically. Hey, we're going to try to push the rest of it through NIL Go when you get here. That's the promise. But the people are adding, like, here's what it is, Greg. This is the new age version of playing time and the new age version of, hey, we're going to let you play quarterback when you get here. This is what it is. Cole, yeah. It's a new age version of we're not going to make you a D lineman. You're going to be an O lineman. It's the new age version of promises in recruiting is what it is.
Right.
It's today's version of that. And so they're adding, there's nothing on paper. They're not even going to see anything until August 1st. And then, they'll have to make the decision of, hey, am I going to go with him on a promise that they're going to try to push that through, or am I going to go somewhere that has, guaranteed money? And I can tell you the answer later on is these kids don't want to work for anything. And so anything that goes through the NIL Go and is actual, quid pro quo, they're not going to want to do. So it'll all work itself out. Just this year's going to be funky, I think.
All right, I want to close it out with you here, and just this might be nothing. This might be something big. I don't know. But what do you make of this Twitter beef between Freeze and Lane? And Lane continuing to sort of jab, and Freeze doesn't ever really have a response. Is it being handled the right way? Should we just take it as fun? Is there more to it? What's happening here?
I mean, me personally, a long time ago, I stopped really, like, that's who Lane is. Sometimes he acts like a 4-year-old, and that's Lane acting like a 4-year-old. What is the beef? I have my suspicions, but I'm sure not going to talk about it on the radio. I'll tell you off the air.
Oh, I thought we were just going to dump all that out here today, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, but it's definitely, I think it's Lane. Sometimes you can definitely tell, sometimes he says, well, I didn't have my Twitter that day. He probably does. I think he has people running his Twitter, but you can definitely tell when he has his Twitter, and he definitely, it's just, as we like to call it, it's Lane being Lane. Lane being a 7-year-old.
There you go. Tyler, appreciate the time, man. Always great stuff. Thanks for the insight, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, brother. Take care.
Are you and Neil going to media days yet, or are you still too big time for that?
Am I going to media days? Hell no. Why do I need to go to media days?
Just putting it out there. Promote the podcast. Get some new people on. I know y'all are big time. You got 7 million TikTok views.
I wouldn't even call it big time. I refuse to actually apply for a media credential because that would make me media. So that's kind of my deal. No, Neil, I don't know what Neil's doing.
You haven't
Neil's
given up yet?
Neil's in kind of, yeah, I haven't given up yet. Neil is in a kind of a unique limbo situation with his contract status of who he's actually working for right now. So I don't know what he's going to do. He has applied for a credential. I just don't know what company that's for.
Okay.
So I'm not going now.
All right.
I'm not going.
Well, we appreciate the time. We'll catch up soon. Thanks, man.
All right, brother. Take care.
Tyler Siskey joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. You know, it's interesting what he says and where sort of recruiting is. We got some feedback coming in via Twitter on what Tyler shared with us. We'll discuss that right after this on Jox. Shams reporting Chet Holmgren set to get a NBA max deal that could reach $250 million guaranteed. Greg McElroy, how many career?
0.
He has 3.
No, stop.
The question when I saw it come down during the break, Holmgren has a 30-point game.
And I said easy.
You said,
yes.
Well, and you made it sound like he had 50.
Oh, no. I figured he at least had 1.
He's got 3.
You know what?
To be fair, missed a large chunk of last season, so the games.
Oh gosh, here we go.
This is over two full, even though he
All right,
missed it,
year
two
and a
full
half,
careers.
basically. Yeah.
Hang on a second.
And Summer League.
Hang on a second. What I think is the best embodiment of where we're at in the NBA right now is that Chet Holmgren is considered a fierce rim protector. He is 7'1", 195 pounds at most. I bet you anything I weigh more than Chet Holmgren. Do you think you do?
No, because I've seen these NBA guys up close, and we think they're like super skinny and like just rail thin, and they're all bigger than we think they are.
No. I refuse to listen to that. No, come on.
Well, I've seen him in person. Stood next to him on the well, didn't stand next to him. He was sitting over on the bricks the entire time because he was too good to talk to anybody else. Wow, we would both be heavier than him allegedly. 7'1", 208.
I'm telling you. And he is a fierce rim protector. What would Shaq have done to Chet Holmgren back in the day?
I mean, I don't know if this is FCC safe for what people want to hear, but he would have put his junk in his face as he broke the backboard.
Oh my gosh,
Just
that was
letting you know.
unnecessary.
All
you had to do is say, I think
That's on you, Greg. You
all you had to do is say he would handle him. I think,
But that's not
easily.
what he would have done. He would have taken it to the next level, which would have been hanging on rim, introducing himself to his neck and chin
Gotcha.
area.
Thank you.
While sending him
Thank
into
you.
the first row.
Gotcha.
And maybe one of the bolts that was supporting the backboard stand would have come loose. Yeah.
That just goes
Points-
to show you
points
right now
would have
where
been
we're at in the NBA. Yes. I don't think that would have ended well for Chet. But he's considered a rim protector in today's NBA. And you wonder why the league has become very, very difficult to consume. That's exactly why. He just got a max deal because of how good he is defensively.
But he can score. And he is
I'm
a
not saying he's a
multifaceted
bad player.
But yeah,
and
it's
he's got a
different.
unique skill set. Like he's a poor man's Wimby, with the length and like has some offensive skill for sure. But he's not a guy that's like, all right, Chet, take us to the promised land. And yet he just got
did
50.
though. I mean,
well, it wasn't him.
No, definitely not.
But you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. But the fact that I remember like doing some prep leading up to the NBA Finals, just in the event in which it would come up on the show, I assumed it might. Oklahoma City all year. Let's just be real. I haven't watched him one time prior to the playoffs, but watch him in the playoffs. He does do an adequate job of like protecting the rim, but I wouldn't necessarily view him as like your traditional rim.
oh, man,
He looks like a tall drink of water, and I feel like Shaq would have absolutely dominated him. And that's
he's
what
like a
I
more
miss.
skilled Sean Bradley, essentially, is what I think Chet
More
Holmgren is.
coordinated, more skilled. That's fair. Way more coordinated. Did not love when he was on the court, and did not love when Shaq was in town, by the way, because he did not do nice things to Sean Bradley.
Yeah, well, I think outside of Akeem Olajuwon, not many people enjoyed when Shaq was in town. So it wasn't always fun. All right, some news around the SEC. Ole Miss is going to lose Kevin Bolden to LSU. He agrees to become the new associate AD, and assistant general manager. Also, Alex Brown of player personnel is going to go to the Falcons. So two behind-the-scenes players in the front office for Ole Miss are going to move on to LSU and the Atlanta Falcons. Kentucky gets Elite 11 quarterback Matt Ponatoski, GMAC. So we've kind of talked about that Kentucky quarterback situation for the last couple of years. They got a big-time prospect that's now committed. So not all things are going in a negative direction for Mark Stoops in Lexington.
No, and I mean, I think that he still has. I really believe that. I think most part, and I think that time that times a bit unreasonable games for most of their history. Right, so I think he's afforded a couple but I would like to see them kind of get back to the team that they once were, because we haven't seen that team in a while.
The Georgia police have secured a warrant for Grant Ferkring, the former Tennessee football player who was also working on a contractual basis with some of the recruiting consulting there. That's just more news surrounding him and everything that has gone south for him the last couple of months. Notre Dame's rescheduled a game versus Rice in 2026. It'll be on September the 12th. Syracuse edge King Joseph Edwards, 6'4", 240. He'll have 4 years left. He has entered the transfer portal. Feels like a weird time to go into the transfer portal. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. LSU has investigated selling advertising patches on their jerseys. We all thought this was coming at some point, and we were going to get there at some point in time. Are we okay with this? Do we hate this? Is this going to bother us? Do we care at all either way about teams potentially selling advertising patches on their jerseys, G-Mac?
I absolutely hate it. I think it's the worst. I understand it might be a necessary evil, but I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, not many people are going to be down with it. Not many people are going to like it. I mean, those jerseys are considered sacred by many fan bases, and you mess with them, and it's going to be frowned upon. But we've seen it on the fields. We've seen it around the facility. Some practice jerseys already, and it's something that I think a lot of people are just expecting at this point in time. Like, they're looking at it as, well, it's going to happen. So intriguing. Now, the NCAA has to allow it, and they have not done that yet. So we'll see exactly where that goes. But when we come back, it is some people's most wonderful time of the year. Other people despise it. I will tell you what it is, and we will tell you members of it next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It's here. It is upon us. It has arrived. It's time for everybody to freak out, everybody to get excited for all that false hope to seep in. Say there's one particular that does offer up something a little bit different than others do.
Oh, boy.
The 2025 Dodd Trophy preseason watch list presented by, I'm not saying it. I'm not falling for your ruse. Dodd Trophy.
What?
No
Roll
freebies.
Tide?
No freebies.
What?
No freebies.
Nope. It's not my bank here in
Okay.
Birmingham, so y'all can have it. Now, I will say most of our watch lists contain how many individuals? A, some. B, a lot. C, a few. D, more than anyone could ever remember or pronounce in their entire lives.
I want to say some of these watch lists have upwards of 100 plus guys on them.
1,000?
You think it's 1,000? Really?
Oh, I was going to say
No,
100,000. Basically, if they can find them, they're putting them on there. Like, wait a minute.
We gotta,
hold on.
I
San
got a
Diego State
handout.
has a tight end. Put him on there.
I got a handout
Mackey
yesterday.
watch list. Here it is.
I got a handout yesterday from a team. I won't say which one. And it listed players on the team and what they were up for. And I'm not exaggerating. There were 19 guys listed. I counted. 19 guys listed. All were honorable mention, Big 12 and or Dodd Trophy and or Jacobs Trophy. Like all of them, or what, Outland Trophy. Everyone's on the watch list. It's like, oh my gosh, like what? How many? Like, we're getting to the point now where there's a bunch of trophies, which is great. I want guys to get recognized for great play. And I appreciate what Joe Moore's done. Like, everybody's on the watch list. Guess what? Everyone is, because we will watch everybody.
Yes, 100%, as they should be. And you should. If are you a tight end? You're on the Mackey Award watch list. Are you a safety? Well, the Lott Trophy doesn't necessarily for just DBs anymore, so that doesn't really work. Yeah. So, are you a punter? You're on the Ray Guy Award watch list. Like, yeah, it should be all of them. But I will say this: the Dodd Trophy preseason watch list at least is compact. It's at least compressed. So I do give them a little credit for that. Like, I do look at it and say, okay, Brett Bielema, Jeff Brom, Kurt Signetti, Mario Cristobal, Matt Campbell, Spencer Danielson, Ryan Day, Kalen DeBoer, Kenny Dillingham, Eli Drinkwitz, Mike Elko, James Franco, Marcus Freeman, Josh Heupel, Brian Kelly, Brent Key, Chris Kleiman, Dan Landing, Joey McGuire, Jeff Monken, Steve Sarkisian, Ryan Silverfield, Kalani Sitake, Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, Brent Venables. Did you leave a lot off? Yes, you did. Are there a lot not on this list that I think could win this trophy? Absolutely. But at least you're not just going out there and finding every single coach in America and putting them on there and acting like you're the ones that found out that they might be able to win your postseason trophy, which this is the preseason list for the postseason trophy. Do they also do a midseason watch list or a quarter of the way through the season watch list? Like, why is it the preseason watch list? We know it's the preseason.
I think it should be weekly watch list.
That's it. And then you just let the people know who they don't need to watch this week.
Yes, I made. I would put it in my resume. I made the Davey O'Brien Week 4 watch list in 2010.
Hell yeah,
or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I want to put that in my bio. If that was a thing, like, I'm doing it. Like, it's an accolade that they can't take that from us. Like, you should put in Outland Trophy watch list Week 2, 97. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Just throw it in there.
Well, maybe we need to come up with the don't waste your time watch list. Like, who not to you just steer clear of every week.
I think you should definitely do that and see how it goes. I think that's a great idea.
I know one team that'll be on there.
Oh, boy.
I'm not going to say it, but I do feel like there would be – I think people may at least pay attention to it. Greg, you're talking about like these handouts, these flyers at Big 12 Media Days. There's graphics floating around from teams, big-time programs, in braggadocious form of what their players' ratings are in NCAA football. We're done.
And
We are
that's a
we are
problem.
we are
Why?
we are officially stupid. We're done. We're dumb. We are dumb. We're dumb. We're taking a video game created by nerds, and we're bragging about their rating in something that's not real. But we're trying to make it real with the real graphic that our athletics department is going to shoot out. We've officially gone dumb. We've gone dumb. We have. Like, why does that matter? What does that mean? Who cares? Is Chet gonna see that when he's 9 and say, "I'm gonna go play with him now"? That's my squad. And then by playing with Auburn in NCAA 26, he's gonna grow up to be an Auburn fan.
You never know.
What are we doing? Who gives a rip about a guy's rating in NCAA? And we're making graphics out of this? I need to know if a single recruit is moved by that at all. Any single one, anywhere.
I mean, there are worse things to tweet out.
Tell me
mean,
what they are.
I don't know. The
That have
Penn
been
State
tweeted.
one. The Penn State one was the dumbest one of all time. It was surrounding the draft. Like, Penn State has had a player drafted in all but 17 drafts all time. Like, that, I think, was maybe the dumbest one ever. So I guess there are slightly dumber things that you could do, so I'm not that bothered by them tweeting out, like, a real tangible, credible thing, especially in social media world where it's very young anyways. But yes, I agree with you. It is a little bit over the top as far as the promotional aspect for the players now. It's wild. It really is wild.
It is. But I saw a couple of those from a couple different teams yesterday, and I was just, honestly, guys, you know what the first thing it brings to mind is your graphics people aren't busy enough.
Or they are.
You need to get them. You need to get them more
nonstop.
important jobs, better things to graphic.
Guys, it's July for them too.
No. I would rather know, or I would rather on a more need to know basis, how close the nearest Buc-ee's is to your campus and have a graphic about that than I would your players' ratings in NCAA, a video game. Don't need it. Don't have time for it.
It's hard for me to push back on that. That is relevant information.
Go grab the biggest baseball stat that is in your favor you can find about your program and graphic that out for me. When I read that so-and-so is an 88, what does that mean? You're essentially giving me extra PFF is what you're doing.
Oh, boy. Except, what are the ratings based on? Like, who is the evaluator that's
Probably
applying said rating?
PFF, honestly.
Oh, boy.
We just look at those numbers and we say, ooh, let's take his missed tackle rate percentage qualification and make that a thing.
It's a tough time of year.
On NCAA player ratings.
It's
It
a
was the
tough
last
time of year
NFL
for
team
you.
that put a graphic out about what their quarterback was rated on Madden.
They put out when they get 99s. They put that
when
out.
they do a 99,
The
there's
teams
like
do?
videos. Like,
I think the
don't
players do, and the
recall.
teams like focus on it too, but because the players do it.
I know people do it, and I know Madden definitely does it.
I'm a little unfamiliar with that world right now, but I would imagine, knowing you and knowing your personality well, I would think now is a very tough time to be on social media for Cole Cubelic because there's nothing tangible. There's nothing tangible. Everything right now is imaginary. Watch list, rankings, preseason rankings, PFF ratings, Madden ratings, NCAA ratings, all that is imagination. And you want to live in the real world of concrete, which I support, but you don't have to subject yourself to it, bud. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Get out of the hole. We got you.
Stop tweeting graphics of NCAA
He
player
can't do it.
ratings.
He won't do it. He
No.
can't get out of the hole, Saber. Get him out of the hole.
Dig up. That helps.
I guess. Mac and Cube in the morning. Apparently, folks are mad at me for my Chet Holmgren take today, not my EA Sports rating graphic take. I am a casual. I get it. I understand that. And listen, he's a good basketball player. He's multifaceted. I understand.
No one said he's not good.
But you're getting $250 million for 5 years, and you've scored 30 or more 3 times. That's just factual information is all it is. You can do with it whatever you wish. Have it, take it, dissolve it, marinate on it, hate it, whatever. But it doesn't change the fact that it's real. It doesn't. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. Graphics for EA Sports video games ratings, dumb, yes or no? You can also tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. You can text into the show 205-834-9450, which brings me to this. And we probably should not begin this discussion before we have Phil Steele in 20 minutes. But I'd like to reference something else I saw on social media over the weekend. By the way, all this recruiting nonsense with Auburn that people are upset about, I'm about to put y'all in y'all's place. You ready? Before I do that, I'm going to tell you about my friend Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis Group. If you're looking for a new home in the Birmingham area, well, Gusty Goulis Group has only served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. They're brokered by eXp Realty, over 835-star Google reviews. Go to GustyGoulisGroup.com today. You'll see a button in the top right hand of the page. Smash that button. Very little information. They're going to tell you what you think your home's worth right now, what they can get for it. They know what's coming available on the market because they've served all those home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. And since 2012, Gusty Goulis Group recognized both nationally and locally as greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. Go to Gusty Goulis Group. Better yet, Google Gusty Goulis Group right now and see all those 5-star Google reviews. 205-542-1996 or Google Gusty Goulis Group today. Everybody thought that the ceiling was caving in. The roof was collapsing. Travis Wakefield is committed to Auburn, guys. You heard me, Damian. Travis Wakefield.
Tim's son?
I hope so.
I know.
I hope
Tim
so.
Wakefield. Let me think. There's got to be some more Wakefields.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I know another Wakefield outside Tim.
I don't think I do either.
Well, now you do. It's Travis. He is
Famous
a long snapper
Wakefield.
from the Nashville area for the 2026 class, rated number 7 nationally by Cole's Kicking Group, Friends, Academy, People, Incorporated, trademark, registered. Cole's what? I don't know what it is. So there you go. Recruiting minds put at ease. Stop the nonsense.
You were concerned. I told
Everyone's
you not to
concerned.
worry.
And now we're back.
I told you not to worry. You were panicking. I told you to just relax. It would all take care of itself. And look at you now.
Yep.
You are back.
You put me in my place. So our buddy Josh Pate got in a little bit of a back and forth over the weekend. And it got me thinking about what folks would say on this show. I have reached out to the only 2 people that I know that would be an expert on referencing a certain sport on this show and having an educated discussion on it. Now, I realize there are a lot of other people out there, but I don't have their numbers, so I apologize to them. However,
that's on you, bro.
It is on me. And those 2 folks were either out of town or couldn't make it happen yesterday or today on the show. So we'll just have the conversation without them.
Okay.
I'm going to introduce a topic centered around soccer.
Love it.
You're a big World Cup guy. You've admitted it. You say it's the best
love
event
the World Cup.
in sports. You've said that multiple times.
I don't know if I've said it's the best event in sports. I still firmly believe that March Madness is the best.
Sorry,
event
your
in sports,
favorite
but
event in sports.
No, I think it's the most bandwagoned event in sports, to which I am absolutely 100% a part of said bandwagon because I watch as much World Cup as I can, and I frankly don't consume much soccer between said World Cups.
Okay, so the most bandwagoned sporting event you believe is the World Cup, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
There is a little sentiment going around that I think we've heard about. We haven't had the discussion on this show before. Rob Stone's a part of the golf coverage on Fox, and he put this out on Twitter over the weekend.
How do we create and locate more Diego Lunas? That has to be question number one right now for all those involved with U.S. soccer. Part of his is the freedom that the coaching staff and his teammates give him to do what he wants, when he wants on the field. You know, maybe lessening some of his defensive responsibilities. But that freedom has been earned because he's one of those rare American talents that can create space, shift the defense, and he wants to take you on 1v1, and more times than not, he will beat you 1v1. His story from USL's Soccer's Real Salt Lake to the U.S. men's national team, and now probably to next summer's World Cup. Take a fairy tale ending for the United States to find more Diego Lunas. I guarantee you there are more Diegos out there. To find them, to nurture them, to coach them, but also to give them the space they need to create and be creative when they feel it's necessary.
So if it's just that easy, why do we not have more Michael Jordans? Where are the other Patrick Mahomeses? Where are our Barry Bondses? Why do we not have more Tiger Woodses? Where are they? Just give them some space, guys. So this turned into a conversation with our buddy Dave Bartu, and then Josh will get in on the conversation as well. Dave Bartu says, because the USA has 4 professional fast-twitch team sports that chews up all the athletic talent, United States men's team doesn't compete with an NFL, MLB, NHL, and hence their ranking this century. I couldn't imagine NFL athleticism growing up playing soccer as their number one sport. And there were a lot of people that sort of took heed to that and basically said that, no, I don't believe that a lot of American athletes would just make great soccer players. Like that wouldn't take place. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not an expert on the skill set that it takes to be a dominant soccer player. I don't have that. I don't know that. But there was a back and forth between a lot of different people on, well, no, it doesn't just happen that way. These guys that play in other professional sports wouldn't just make great soccer players if they grew up playing it. To which I don't really know, but I did think it would be a fun conversation of what athletes, if they did, do we believe, focused on becoming a professional soccer player from an early age in this country that are homegrown, do we think could have been dominant professional soccer players?
Well, I think it's a fascinating. Yes.
Dante Hall?
Yes.
David Palmer?
Yes.
I'm just thinking like short space movement, quick twitch. Like who is at the top of the food chain ever when it comes to like Allen Iverson? Does anybody believe that Allen Iverson could not have been a dominant soccer player if that's all he ever did?
What about John Stockton? What about
only if that soccer team was running the pick and roll. Otherwise, no.
Not American, but Steve Nash was like a remarkably talented soccer player.
Absolutely.
And chose basketball.
Okay. But here's the real question: if John Stockton tried to play soccer, who would be his Karl Malone on the pitch? Because you have to have him to be good. That's what I'm told.
I don't know.
By the way, hold on. Total sidebar. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't know who it was. Maybe Patrick Beverly. Have you guys seen this video floating around about him talking about John Stockton and how him and Hornacek were like the dirtiest players he ever played against?
Really?
He's like, dude, those guys were nasty. Kneeing you in the quad, like elbowing you in the ribs the entire game. He was like, they were absolutely filthy on the court, and no one knew it, and no one talked about it. He's like, by far the dirtiest players did those dudes. Hated playing against them. Hated even knowing we were having to make the trip to go up against those guys. He's like, they were hell on wheels. And I was like, I've never heard this in my life. This is unbelievable.
No, I would not have thought that. I just would not in a million years have envisioned either of those two guys as like filthy basketball players with knees and things like that. I just wouldn't have. But I mean, I checks out. Like sometimes like the dirtiest dudes are the guys that you least expect, which is kind of hilarious.
Like Chris Paul.
And then some of the softest dudes are the guys that you would think are like, you know, Hardo McGee. When it comes to soccer, an acquired skill set. Just the foot coordination, balance, all that stuff is incredible talent that actually goes into that. Hand-eye, I don't know. Do you call it foot-eye? Like, I don't even really know. Like, there's a remarkable, and I think there's like quarter vision. Great quarterbacks, a uniquely wide peripheral vision. I don't know, but that's not innate skill. You have it. So I do think there are aspects of are probably very, very God-given talent. I think you are to think that an NBA basketball player or a remote player, or as opposed to stepping on the basketball court, stepping on the football field, or stepping on the lacrosse field, if you think for a second they couldn't do that, I think you're nuts. Like, I absolutely think you're nuts. Now, would they become Messi? No, I'm not sure. Would they become Diego Luna? I don't know about that. But I think
when he said that, I was thinking, how many college coaches right now are saying, how do we develop more Diego Pavias?
Yeah. Well,
which do we need more of? Lunas or Pavias? Because I think the world might, if introduced to Pavia properly, may want more of him.
But the reality is, and I know that length is not everything.
So you're telling me Trendon Holiday or Damian Mitchell couldn't have been elite soccer players if that's all they focused on?
I think they absolutely could have been. I think it's really, really naive. Now, soccer's a unique skill. It's not something where I can just take one of the best athletes in the world, drop them on the soccer pitch, and they can dominate. No, absolutely not. But if they started what other sport they ended up playing, I absolutely think would be the best soccer country in the world. I really believe that. I might be wrong. But I think our per capita at the world, maybe, I don't know, but I would take our chances. Talent-rich country in the world because of the resources that we have access to.
Who are some some former SEC guys that we think of could easily been great soccer players, like SEC football players?
Percy Harvin.
Outside of like the entire Colquitt family, taking them
Percy
out of the equation.
Percy Harbin,
Jox Green.
Jox Green, like basically just think of any Florida player. Like, yeah, I mean, I could see Devontae Smith being awesome. I could see.
Like, what do you think when you think of? And again, we're not the experts here. I think like short twitch quickness, like short space quickness, change of direction, fluidity. I feel like, and obviously some hand-eye coordination also has to be massive. Like those are the things that I would think would make you. Like I think about a TJ Yeldon probably if he focused on it, maybe a tad too big, but I feel like could have been an elite soccer player if that's all he did because he felt like he did everything really well.
Yeah, but you train your way into being big. Like if you at a young age,
that's fair.
Decided to apply yourself on the soccer field where you are not lifting heavy weights and conditioning. He's going to weigh 106.2 and have some unique skill, touch, there's feel. Those are things that cannot some like God-given gifts there. The level of athleticism that you see, I think it can translate. Like, I really believe that it would translate had they applied themselves on the soccer pitch a lot earlier in life.
All right, so you guys can tweet yours in.
You haven't really given us your opinion. Do you agree with that?
Not at all. No. Jolly tweets in a good point. He said, "Yeah, you got to have the ecosystem and culture for soccer development. This country has more sports opportunities for other areas. They play soccer in 4 professional leagues in the UK, 20 to 20-plus teams per league. No baseball or football culture, basketball culture. It's no different than when you look at how European basketball players come into the NBA and the different skill set that they have. They have the ecosystem for that. It's how they're trained. It's where emphasis points are. It's not all playing above the rim. It's not all your handles in front of another guy in one-on-one. It's obviously it's passing. It's running the offense. It's motion. It's movement without the basketball. Like, those are things that where more emphasis points are. We don't have as many of those here because they're not celebrated as much. So that ecosystem part of what Jolly said, I think, is very intelligent and probably very real.
Yes.
There you go. Louis Jarman tweets in, if John Kruk played soccer and not baseball when he was 4, he's delivering Coors Light right now. Absolutely agree. Or I think he could be like a stand-up comedian, probably be successful doing that.
What did John Kruk do? Why is he being brought into this conversation?
I'm not sure.
I mean, he's just sitting there catching strays, and he didn't do anything wrong here. Like, why is it John Kruk that we go to? We don't go for, like, I don't know.
Tommy Wyndham tweets in, does Bo know soccer? In the commercial he did. I saw the commercial. Watched it. So
I do think that there is, like, a cultural element that is
1,000%
very, very important to this conversation. Like, soccer is something like baseball, frankly, that needs to be played constantly. And it takes years and years and years to develop the skill set for handles, because let's be real, we as human beings have evolved to the point in which our hands are our most useful tools. Our feet are not. Our feet are used for moving, not for, like, actually applying touch and things like that. And to be able to run as fast as those soccer guys do with the ball not getting more than 2 or 3 feet away from them is absolutely insane. So I think it's like soccer, if you grow up in a soccer family and a soccer culture, what have you, you are playing soccer several hours a day. I mean, every day, playing soccer, juggling, kicking it back and forth to each other, developing touch, working on set pieces, kicking it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I just think it's something that you have to spend more time on, like baseball, that
and golf and
like
tennis.
It's not a seasonal sport. It's not a seasonal sport at all. Like, soccer is a lifestyle. And I think that's what makes those guys so amazing to watch.
Larry is on the road and wants to talk in college football players, soccer players, etc. Welcome in, Larry.
Hey, guys. I always enjoy both of your insight, but I want opinions, both of you. But I'm talking about in reference to all sports. I don't care if it's soccer, football, baseball, basketball, whatever the case may be. What is more important in regards to football or any sport, the physical or the mental, when it comes to you factored into, 70-30, whatever, but I know there's so much physical activity involved with football and all sports, running and weightlifting and whatever, but then you hear coaches like Saban and then Dr.
Yeah,
Elko
but you're talking with the end goal of, say, becoming a professional or high level college player. That's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, primarily college, pros, or even high school players.
And I hate this answer, Larry. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate saying it. I hate admitting it, but it's physical. Because we can take the most mentally tough. We can take the most mentally tough Marine who ever lived on this earth. And if he can't throw a football 20 yards, we're not going to go teach him to play quarterback in 2 years. That's never going to happen. Like, I mean, you've seen some of these guys. I mean, I've seen NBA guys try to throw a football. We've seen these first pitches before, right? I mean, we see Marshawn Lynch throw out the first pitch and it goes in the dugout. We can't make him a professional baseball player. Like, he's not pitching in 5 years into it. And he may have every dedication that he wants to go do it possible. It ain't happening. It's just not. Like, Charles Barkley is not going to be on the PGA Tour. Ever. Doesn't matter if Butch Harmon works a day for 14 years. He's not. So I hate admitting that, Greg, but it's physical.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. Like, in order to get to the show, right? And by show, I mean like the professional ranks. The physical is understood. The margins between your run-of-the-mill or your, the roster's 53 in the NFL. Let's say guys 20 through 60. Margins are crazy slim. And then 10 through 20, there's an elevation. And then 1 through 10, there's an elevation above that. And second best, third best player on the team. It's wild to watch. But the reality is so physical. Toughness allows the elites to separate. Like that's the extra have to just kick it up just another notch to go to the physical is everything. Mental toughness and physical toughness. But if you don't have if you're not sick, you're not playing. Like I could take Devontae Smith, my own two eyes, just a tremendous talent. If you 7,000 calories a day, he's never going to play left tackle in the NFL. There. It's just not happening. I don't care if he gets up to. It's still not going to happen. I don't know if you can even get there with his brain, frankly. You got the gifts and you got the goods, you can't play. I don't care how mentally tough you are.
Dave in Hoover wants to chime in. Welcome into the show, Dave.
Yeah, guys, I pitched in junior college and had a big travel team in Atlanta for years and did a lot of lessons, pitching lessons for kids in high school, summer camps and stuff like that. And here in Birmingham, I've been doing pitching lessons for kids that are transitioning from coach pitch to kid pitch and trying to get them established in a really good, basic, fundamental position on the mound. And I tell these older kids, they're 13, 14, starting to get into a little travel ball into high school that, I can teach you how to throw a cutter, a slider, a curveball, a splitter, whatever, but I cannot teach you how to throw a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. What I can do is get you into a summer program or a fall throwing program, doing long toss, doing shoulder, hip separation drills, things of that nature. I could get you from 88 to 91 or 92 maybe, if you do those things, but you just can't teach somebody how to throw a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. That just doesn't happen. And I don't say it's necessarily throwing type program and those drills that get that at a very young age, and they develop it throughout the years, and that's how they get there. But there's some guys I've seen like
if you look at those guys too, like if you look at those guys that are throwing, 98, 99 in the MLB, just being around pro athletes my whole life, pitchers in the MLB are like horses, dude. They are enormous.
Most of them are big dudes.
They are big guys.
Spencer Strider, you look at Spencer Strider on the mound with those tight pants on, his thighs, he looks like he can squat probably 600 pounds, but that's where they get a lot of that from separation, but all the power comes from the hips and below.
There's a ton of them you can reference. Like I met Rob Dibble one time and I was like, this dude is a light left tackle. Like,
yes.
Seriously. Like you meet Jason Standridge, who played at Hewitt and committed to Auburn to play quarterback, but went to the NFL draft because he got drafted early and made a ton of money. But like bigger probably than a lot of SEC tight ends right now. Because the position's gotten lighter. Those dudes are hosses, man. It's like we said about a lot of NFL quarterbacks. Like, I can't tell you the amount of people that I come across on the street. They're like, man, I met Greg the other day. Like, he's pretty big. He's like 6'2", almost 6'3". And I'm like, what? You think he's Mighty Mouse playing quarterback in the SEC?
I'm not like a small guy. A little bit on the smaller end, like two. Lower half. It's waist down. His big, dude. These rotational athletes. Pitchers are enormous. Like they are engage so easily. They have such great hip flexibility, and like it's unbelievable. So that big, great. I get that. That's why he was a closer. But these guys now that are starters are in some cases in the 7th inning. Like these guys are enormous, so strong.
Yep. Let's go to Dre quickly. We only have a couple of seconds, Trey, but wanted to get your thoughts because you've been patient on hold. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, guys. Love the show. Cole, I'm gonna bring a name up, and I believe you played against this guy. He played receiver at Florida. What about Jabbar Gaffney?
Yeah, Jabbar Gaffney could be in that conversation. I might take Harvin and a couple other Florida receivers like Ike Hilliard maybe. But, I mean, listen, Florida's probably had like 50 receivers. It could have been. I just feel like it's the best athlete of all of them though, because he could do everything.
Take Florida and like anyone that puts, and I think just because of how talented they've been at the skill positions.
Like Pearsall.
Like,
Pearsall's changed the direction.
Pearsall, Joe Hayden.
Yeah.
How about Janoris Jenkins there for a bit? Like,
that's
how
the one
about,
we're leaving out, Greg, because their skill set are not put on display in a forward-facing fashion like a lot of other offensive positions, but a lot of these DBs are insane.
Oh, forget about it. Corner's the best athlete on the field. I don't care what anyone says. Like, those guys are insane. Like, what they do is insane. The routes the steps they take and the angles they take and how quickly they're changing direction and how they can put their heel in the ground and break on a dime in a straight line the second the receiver drops his hips. The DBs are nuts.
All right, so let's get to a break. Phil Steele, speaking of DBs, we'll ask him about some of the DB units in the SEC and what he makes of them next on Mac and Q Morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:31, Wednesday, July 9th, FM.com. Watch live on YouTube each and every morning. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill. Excited to welcome in Phil's Hotline. His preseason magazine is on shelves now. You can get that all over the place. John has his. I have mine. Phil, thanks for joining us. I want to start with this. One thing that has had to change for just the amount of guys that have played college football that are going to be doing it for a different team. So experience becomes important. How have you sort of shifted how you grade, judge some of these teams based on players they have that haven't played a single game in that uniform but have played a lot of games in another uniform?
Yeah, it's done. Some teams, another starting, count them, a guy starting. He has him as recruiters. Is numerous, and yet found an actually there's coming. It's, but I think each magazine, but
ability to. I mean, I'm like, but I can't. It's amazing. Season, it's for instance, top 10. Kind of a rival.
Yeah, well, like the different quarterback last year, I expect them to have a vastly improved passing game. John Mateer comes in from Washington State. Washington State's offensive coordinator comes in, and as opposed to 0 returning starters on the offensive line, they have a veteran unit now, more depth, bigger bodies, and they look a lot stronger there. And with an improved receiving core and quarterback, I think they now have the offense to go with the defense. Last year, they only had 3 true SEC home games. Well, this year they only have 3 true SEC road games. And so I think when you add it all up, I think Oklahoma's a team that when I went through the team with Coach Venables, I thought they were a playoff caliber team, and I think they could surprise this year.
Phil Steele joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. His magazine available now at Barnes & Noble, wherever else you would get the Phil Steele preseason magazine each and every year. I want to ask you about Auburn, just kind of get your thoughts. There are some folks that think super high ceiling, could go really well. Other folks say, wait, I'm not there yet. What are your expectations for the Tigers this fall and why?
Well, I'm going to agree that they have the ceiling is there for Auburn because, you know, you look at them last year, if it wasn't for turnovers, they probably were a lot better. I had them on my most improved list last year, and they went from minus 45 yards per game in SEC play all the way up to plus 62 yards per game. So it's a drastic improvement. Just didn't show up in the win-loss column. They were 5-7. Had that couple of blown games like the Oklahoma game that they lost late in that one, the Missouri game that they lost late, and turnovers really did them in numerous parts. Now, if Jackson Arnold, who has a better supporting cast than he had last year at Oklahoma, comes in and does a good job, I love the receiving core, the offensive line's a veteran group. Defensively, they've got talent throughout. I like Keldrick Falk up front on the defensive line. This is a talented Auburn team. The schedule, they do have to play Oklahoma, Texas A&M on the road, Georgia at home, at Arkansas, and home to Alabama. Could be a dog in probably 5 games this year, but I think they do get back to a bowl game. They have the ceiling to get better, but we also saw last year they're going to have to cut down on those turnovers.
Looking at kind of just the overall picture of the SEC, you're clearly very high on the league. I mean, you have so many teams. Bama sitting there at 4. You have Texas at 3. You have Oklahoma in the top 10. You have Georgia in the top 10. You have Florida in the top 10. A&M in the top 10. LSU in the top 11. Is this the deepest it's been, in your opinion, at the top?
I would say so. You look at in years past, it was Bama and Bama, Georgia, things like that. But I think adding Texas, adding Oklahoma, and then LSU hitting the portal like they did. Mike Elko inheriting what he did at Texas A&M and getting the most out of the talent on hand. Billy Napier, Ole Miss. If their new quarterback does well, they're going to be a threat. I think the SEC, top to bottom. I mean, this is a loaded conference as always. But, I've got South Carolina 10th for crying out loud. How the heck do you put South Carolina 10th in the conference when there's such a loaded team? That just speaks of the depth.
Phil Steele with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Alabama, when you sort of project out what they're going to be this year, I'm interested in how close you think the roster is to the last, let's just say, 4 or 5, 6 years. And why or why not Alabama, say, winning the league this year?
They could very easily win the league, and the big thing is going to be the quarterback position. I expect Ty Simpson to start, but, it could be him, it could be Russell, it could be Matt, it could be any of the three. But if they get good quarterback play, they have my number 7 running back unit in the country, number 4 receiving core in the country, number 9 offensive line, number 6 defensive line, number 10 linebackers, and number 2 DBs. So all their units are in the top 10 with the exception of quarterback. If they get that good quarterback play, look out. When I look at their schedule this year, Cole, the only game I have an underdog in all year is at Georgia, and I've got them a slight underdog in that one. So just getting to the SEC title game is huge, and if that's the case, if they go 11-1, even with the loss of Georgia, they would get to the SEC title game most likely. So I think Bama's got that opportunity this year. And remember, Kalen DeBoer's second year at Washington, he took a less talented team to the national title game.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I think quarterback play is obviously the one that everyone's kind of talking about in our neck of the woods, that's for sure. Ohio State, returning national champs, you have them at number 5. I think that's probably about right. I'm not sure exactly where I'd have them at the moment, but that's probably about right. But I think you probably are going to hear from Buckeye fans about where you have them. So what's the justification for why you have the Buckeyes sitting there at 5?
Well, I think naturally their talent is huge. But, last year's team for Ohio State was one where a lot of players turned down the NFL and opted to return. So they didn't lose a normal amount of draft picks, and they were the most talented team in the country. Well, this year they lose 15 draft picks. There's talent, no doubt. They've got great replacements. But I also think when you take a look at a team like Penn State this year, Penn State, they had numerous players that could have gone to the NFL. Singleton and Allen at running back, Drew Allard at quarterback. Their offensive linemen, defensive linemen like Dennis Sutton could have gone. These guys all opted to return, and they have the experience level that Michigan had 2 years ago, which a lot of players opted to return, won the national title, that Ohio State had last year. And I really think this is a year for Penn State to break through with James Franklin. They do have to play Ohio State on the road, but as we learned last year, you don't have to win all your regular season games to make the playoffs. I really like this team. They've got it's more of a pick for Penn State than it is against Ohio State. I just think Ohio State's less experienced, lost a lot of draft picks, will be good, but not quite up to last year's squad.
Phil, we kind of view the SEC right now with a couple of teams towards the top that have a really good chance to win the league. You mentioned Alabama being one of those. Obviously, how you put Georgia in that category, I think we would all agree with. But it feels like there are 7, 8, maybe 9 teams after that are all extremely close. How many teams do you have that truly are somewhat separated from the rest in the Southeastern Conference this year going into the season?
Yeah, I had basically a top 11, I would say. If Auburn plays to its ceiling level, they would get into that group. But South Carolina, I think you have to put in there. Tennessee, I know they lost their quarterback, but if Joey Aguilar can come in and do well, Tennessee's got tons of talent. Ole Miss, Florida, Texas A&M, LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas, and Georgia all would fall into that category. So it is a rugged league, and it's just unbelievable that there's 16 teams like this playing in the same conference.
Finally, for me, you kind of look at the Big Ten. It looks like you have some bullishness with Penn State, understandably, with what they bring back. They feel a lot like Ohio State last year and Michigan the year before with how many impactful players return. But overall, where do you think the league is as we continue to move forward?
Yeah, I think the Big Ten's right up there with the SEC. And, if you look at the last 2 years, you could argue the Big Ten, was winning national titles, had the better record. But, when I look at the Big Ten, I don't see quite the depth that I do in the SEC at the top. But I would put clearly it's the big two in college football. I mean, you have the SEC and the Big Ten. Then there is a big gap, and then there's the ACC and the Big 12, and then there's a gap to the Group of Five. But they're clearly one of the top two conferences in college football. It's probably not even close.
How many teams would you say going into this year do you believe can win a national championship? I don't need you to name all the teams, but if you were to put a number on it, would it be more in the 3-4 range, 6-8 range, more than 8?
Well, now that you got the wide open playoffs like it is, a team gets hot down the stretch. Who knows what happens? A team stays healthy. Maybe the teams are facing get some injuries coming in. But I would say legitimate national title contenders, I would put about 9 this year. I would say, and I'll just name them quickly, Penn State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, and Oklahoma.
Phil, great stuff. Like I said, John has the magazine. I have the magazine. We appreciate you hopping on. Always great to catch up with you. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Hey, Greg, Cole, a lot of fun talking football with you guys this morning. Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Phil Steele joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. I want to take those teams he just mentioned, come back, and decide, do we think those teams can go get a ring this year? But if you're looking for a ring, Greg, where do you need to go?
That'd be Bromberg's. Bromberg does an amazing job. Been going there for years. I've always appreciated the experience that I have. The second you walk in the door at Bromberg's, it's just an elevated experience with incredible sale jewelry, gold, silver, platinum jewelry, natural diamonds from some of the most beautiful diamonds that you could ever find, gemstones, you name it. It's also wedding season. So with weddings around the corner, make sure that you're getting your gifts for the people that you care most about at Bromberg's. They'll much appreciate the experience knowing that they went and shopped at Bromberg's. You're going to love it. I promise you. I've been forever. You guys will have the exact same experience that I do. So go and check out Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit.
All right, we'll be back to talk national championship contenders next on Jox. Going to be another hot one here in central Alabama, but good news. You don't have to worry about that because you've got Train on your side. That heat and humidity can be brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comforttrain.com. It's hard to stop a train. Any real pushback on Phil Steele? You know what? We're going to talk about Phil's potential national championship winners. He gave us Penn State, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon. Greg, if there's any of those that he would immediately rule out that Phil Steele said can win a national championship.
Great job building a company on foundation and trust. It's always great to know that you have great people around you. And knowing that they're going to come into your home and they're going to respect your home, they're going to leave it looking a whole heck of a lot better than it did when they arrived. They have that beautiful Core-Tech flooring, which is 100% waterproof, pet-proof, super durable flooring that they have in stock right now. They have 40,000 square feet of that Core-Tech flooring in stock, and right now you get $10 off per box when you order that Core-Tech flooring from Shannara Flooring. Sky's the limit on what you could save right now. You can really take advantage of that inventory that they have on hand, so make sure you don't put that off. If you're thinking about making some changes to your floors, absolutely give my friends at Shannara Flooring a call. They got 12 months financing with approved credit, and you can see it all online at fooandyou.com.
Some basketball news here in the state of Alabama we need to get to, as well as those national title contenders, according to Phil Steele, next on Mac and Cube in the morning. 9:53 Wednesday, July 9th. Jox Snack. Phil still lays out his teams that he believes can win a national championship right now. Penn State. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go through the list, and you just tell me agree, yes or no. Penn State.
Yes.
Clemson.
Yes.
Notre Dame.
Yes.
Texas.
Yes.
Ohio State.
Yes.
Georgia.
Yes.
Alabama.
Yes.
Oregon.
Yes.
Oklahoma.
No.
They would easily be the one you would have the least confidence in, even if you did agree with that, correct?
Yeah, I would say. I think I see the upside. I mean,
no,
could
I
it
agree with
happen?
the
Of
sentiment
course.
of the sort of how it could. I mean, have we completely just gotten away from things have to work? Like you don't just insert thing and all of a sudden it works. Like that just it doesn't go that way. That's why you have different size batteries. You don't go to the store and just say, "Give me a battery." Like, oh, we needed AAA, and this is a D battery. Like what? It doesn't work that way.
It's for me that things could go wrong at this time of year. Like, it's just the way I like to evaluate. I like to see, all right, if this goes right, this is what could happen. So I absolutely align, and the likelihood there, but I think that I expect them to be and probably 15 team. And I feel like that's a pretty good place for them to be based on where they were last year.
Okay, quickly, bad box score of the day. The A's take out the Braves 10-1 yesterday. The A's score all 10 runs on home runs in the first 3 innings. 3 home runs in the first inning for the first time since July 18th, 1990. Lawrence Butler, 2 for 4, 2 home runs. 1 an inside the park home run. He led off with that. Had another solo home run in the third. First inside the park home run by an A's player since
1857.
2006.
Oh.
Second longest drought by a
Miguel
team
Tejada?
in MLB history. It was 3,004 games. He's the first A's player with an inside the park and outside the park home run in a game since?
Miguel Tejada.
No,
Oh.
that's not the player and did not play in that year. It was